I was watching your video on exercise and you said that monks only eat once in the morning. I was just wondering how one survives on that small amount of food. I was sort of shocked when you said it. Do you recommend people who meditate to take this on? Absolutely. I mean, I think I just answered this in the last question, but you can survive with one meal a day. You clearly can. You can't do much with it. You can't go out and lift weights or run marathons or lift bricks. Or what was I doing? Carrying computers. I had to carry all this computer from the room to here, and it was not the most fun. But well, I'd like to actually turn it over to a living example, because this ascetic on my right is now eating. Today he ate one meal, and you can see he's still alive. Let's ask him how he feels.
I feel good. Yeah, I mean, like I said before, like you just said, it's going to depend on what you're doing, but for just being here and meditating and studying, it's not that you're exerting this tremendous effort that's just pushing your body or anything, so one meal is really enough. And I found that eating more, then you're just leaving yourself open to overeating, and then you overeat, and then you feel drowsy and lose energy, really. So yeah, one meal's good. Keeps you going. I don't really even feel hungry. It's like I found, like you were saying, it's just your mind plays tricks on you. It tells you that you need this or that, but you get used to it, and now it's not really even a problem. The whole time I've been out here. At first it was harder. At first, even just eating 2 meals, later at night you'll be like, oh man, I'm so hungry, I want this, I want that. But then you get used to it and you adjust to it, and then it's fine. Then it becomes the normal thing then. And then there's no more problem.
I remember that on my first retreat with Bhante Yuttadhammo, I was one of those people who complained about hunger in the evening. And I really learned in the first 2 weeks that it's not really necessary to have more than 2 meals per day. And after, I think, 3 or 4 weeks being on retreat, I wanted to try out how that is, how that feels to have only 1 meal per day. And I was so surprised that it was so easy and it worked so well. And out of that experience, I can say 2 things. It works. It's possible when you meditate a lot. And if you go on retreat with Bhante Yuttadhammo, he will not force you right away from the first day on to do that. So if you can do, that's wonderful, and if not, that's fine as well.
We will never force you to eat only 1 meal a day. What I tell the people here, I'm so happy to be here now because we're so free. We don't have to follow anybody else's schedule. So I say, okay, we get food in the morning, it's there, and you can take as much as you want, as long as you eat it between dawn and noon, and you can eat as... I'm kind of push people not to have more than 2 meals, but I'll say, eat it as you like. We're not actually allowed to tell our students, to require our students to eat only 1 time. What we're supposed to do, according to the Buddha, is eat only 1 set of food. So we get our food for the day, and then we split it into 2 parts if we choose. You can eat it all then and have one sitting, but this is considered to be the extreme end of what is allowed. So, many people do it, and it's not extreme by any means. It's quite normal and quite natural. Or you can split it into 2 parts, eat some now and some later, but you're still considered to be eating one meal. You've got one set of food. The point being, it reduces the amount of greed and attachment that's going to arise, as opposed to going out and trying to find a second meal, something different. In the morning I had cereal, and for lunch I want pizza or something. It's torture, no? Just talking about it.
I found that it was easier not having more food later on, because it's
Right.
like not having it in front of you, not having to think about it, and all this.
And that's the last thing I was going to say, is that eating one meal a day is incredible in so many ways. As Nagasena says, not thinking about it again. You've had one meal, that's it. That's food. Food done. No more food for the rest of the day. It's a non-issue at that point. And that the food, and when you do it again and again, if you do that every day, you find that food is totally a non-issue. It's like, oh, now food time, bing, finished. And that was the 24-hour cycle. It becomes quite easy to let go of food when you eat only one meal. In fact, 2 full meals is a lot more difficult. You will find that then in the evening you're expecting the third one. When you only eat once, it is so reduced that the mind has no choice but to let go. Clinging and wanting food for the rest of the day would be horrible. So that the mind, it's so extreme for the mind's just like, what am I going to do? And it decides to let go. And when it lets go, then you feel great. The other obvious benefit, not obvious, but it's obvious once you clearly seeable once you start doing it, is that you're free for the rest of the day. How much trouble monks have these days trying to find food at 11 o'clock, or sometimes 11:30, and looking at the clock and saying, uh-oh, it's almost 12 o'clock, uh-oh. This 11 o'clock meal has really tortured us, time and time again. Sometimes, you had your breakfast and then someone says, hey, you want to go somewhere? Let's do this, do that. Oh, what about lunch? What do we do for lunch? And you've just lost half the day because you have to wait until at least noon before you can go anywhere. That's what I find now. When I eat at 11 o'clock, and it's like, I want to go somewhere. When will we go? Probably have to go after lunch. So you've lost half the day. When you're eating only one meal a day, it's like 8 o'clock, we're out of here. Well, what about lunch? I ate already. That's what we're going to try to do on Tuesday. Anyway, one meal is... we should strive for it. The Buddha, the one thing is that when monks ate one meal, the Buddha would still encourage or allow them or express approval of them eating some kind of rice soup in the morning, or some just boiled rice and water to make a rice soup, because he said that has several benefits, and it's a great substitute, because it gives you that little bit of energy. The problem is you eat after going on alms round, so you've got to go on alms round on an empty stomach, and that can be difficult sometimes. So it's good before that to have some little bit, and then after you come back to eat. Like when we were at Yuttadhammo, and before our alms round, you would bring me the soya milk. She was not even a mechi, I guess, at that point.
I was a mechi.
You were, and you would be able to keep the boxes, the Tetra packs of soy milk. So at 6 o'clock you would have one, I'd have one, and then I'd go on alms round. And totally unrelated to the question, but that one time I was just thinking about it today, when I had to go on alms round. I was thinking about the time when I had to go on alms round half dead, and I was like teetering, like, because Tambuatong is 3.5 kilometers from the village. So I had to walk 3.5 kilometers with a fever. I could barely see in front of me, and I was like swaying back and forth on the road and just like blurry looking at the road. Made it all the way to the village and just sat down. I couldn't even get into the village. It's like I didn't even have the energy to go around from house to house. So I just sat there until someone brought me some water and got me some food and brought me back to the monastery. Anyway, totally unrelated. Just a thought. Okay?
Mhm.